So we're going to start recording and streaming. I'll let you know when it's live. We're live.
Good evening, everyone. This is council meeting number 40, an auspicious number for the year 2021. It's October 19th at 6:30 p.m. Welcome back, Deputy Mayor, who was on a short holiday, and Councillor Strachan sends her regrets for this evening. Just a couple of items before we get started, some reminders that I was encouraged to pass on. It is Local Government Week, so we want to take this opportunity to thank all municipal staff who work very hard on behalf of certainly the municipality of North Grenville and municipalities across Ontario. We really appreciate the work, the effort, the dedication, the nimbleness as you navigate council priorities and preoccupations. So just want to mark the occasion. We'll be putting out a statement later in the week. It's also Waste Reduction Week this week, and in doing an interview and putting out a release alongside Councillor Strachan earlier this week, we noted that since February of 2021, we have diverted 794 tons of food/organic waste from North Grenville's, well, not our landfills, but landfills that we were using. And obviously, in so doing, we've also saved on the costs of shipping that waste much further afield than is the case now, where, of course, we are availing of the City of Ottawa's composting facility, but, of course, have our own waste management contract to ensure that timely pickup is a priority. So just want to congratulate all residents of North Grenville for really embracing with, I think, enthusiasm that we didn't quite expect the new waste diversion program in terms of food and organic material. The other thing to note is we launched our participation survey. As many will know, we were accorded by Participation a prestigious title of Canada's Most Active Community back in July of this year, and we have launched a survey for anyone who has an opinion or a perspective on how some of the funds that were part of the prize dollars, if you will, should be used. So you can go to northgrenville.ca, get active. And finally, we do also want to note that the community grants call for proposals is out. So for any community group out there or who's watching, we have a call for requests for submissions from community organizations in regards to community grants that the municipality makes available every year, and that deadline is November 19th. And council will deliberate on those grant applications later this year for approval in early 2022. And then I also just wanted to thank all of those who reached out on the occasion of my mother's passing. I want to appreciate the patience and kind words of so many in the community. Obviously a sad occasion, but I have felt very, very blessed to be serving here in North Grenville and have so many people extend sort of kind words and thoughtfulness and put some food on our door and make sure the kids got to school okay. So very much appreciate everyone's efforts and thoughtfulness. So with that, I will call the meeting to order, and that is that the council agenda for October 19th be approved as agenda as presented. And of course, I think, colleagues, you'll note that it's not a heavy agenda this evening, so look forward to getting through it fairly quickly. But that being said, I will look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sullivan, and over here, Councillor Barkley. Any comments, additions, proposed revisions to the agenda, colleagues? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Disclosures of interest. Are there any declarations in terms of perceived or real financial benefit or loss arising from tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I will move on. And then, of course, colleagues, we have a consent agenda, and items listed under this agenda are considered routine and no longer require further discussion and are enacted in one motion. Of course, the exception is that a member may request that one or more items be pulled for discussion. Of course, all you see here, colleagues, are committee meetings from Arts and Culture and the Community and Economic Development Advisory Committee. Councillor Barclay.
Yeah, I have no objection. I just wanted to encourage residents to take a look at some of the minutes as they're posted in the agenda. There's a lot of good work going on in terms of volunteers who populate those committees, and there's a lot of activity. So especially these two committees, the Arts and Culture and the Community Economic Development Advisory Committee, I think it's very instructive for them to take a look at it and see what's going on. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So those minutes can be found easily on our website under, I think, the Govern tab, if I'm not mistaken, Heather. So, okay, thank you. So I'll look for a mover, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Barclay, do you want to move in second adoption of the consent agenda? If there are no objections, I'll call the question. All in favor? Good, thank you. Okay, so then we'll move to the waste collection program update. And I think Director Dunlop, not to have preempted you earlier with my enthusiasm to report on the success of our own waste diversion efforts, but over to both of you to give us that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Brandon Shipman will actually be presenting both of the Public Works items this evening. I'm here for moral support and any assistance I can provide.
Welcome, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the fall of 2020, Council retained Emterra Environmental for waste collection in North Grenville and approved a new bag tag system that would increase the price of garbage tags to $2.75 and include tags for additional programs that were included in the new contract. These additional items that needed tags include bulky item pickup and leaf and yard waste pickup. Other changes that were implemented include the addition of a curbside organics collection program, which you previously mentioned, and also changing the frequency of garbage collection to bi-weekly. It was also requested by Council that a 6-month update be provided, and that is what brings me before you today. This update report provides breakdown tables of the projected and actual expenses and revenue from February through July of this year. It is expected that there would have been approximately $1,112,000 in expenses for the first 6 months of the program, but it was found that $1,037,000 was actually spent. This is $75,000 less than anticipated. Approximately $458,000 was expected in revenue, but it was found that $392,000 was generated. This is approximately $66,000 less than expected. However, it should be noted that April's blue box revenue has not been received, and staff is currently investigating. There were 4 targets set for the first 4 years of the organics program. The first year target was to collect 30% of the available organics from the garbage. The second year goal was 40%, 50% for year 3, and 60% for year 4. With the amount of organics collected in the first 6 months, we saw 40% of the available organics collected for the first 6 months, which puts us on track to achieve our second year target in our first year, which is very commendable for the residents of North Grenville. As a result of the success of the organics program, it was found that the amount of garbage collected from the curbside dropped 47%. However, the amount of waste accepted at the Oxford Mills transfer station increased by 15%. It is a possibility that more residents are taking their tagged waste to this transfer station themselves instead of putting it at the curbside. This is supported by the fact that the transfer station revenue is almost the same over the February through July of 2020 to 2021. There were 4 collection events scheduled for 2020. 4 collection events scheduled for the spring of 2020. 2 bulky item collections and 2 leaf and yard waste collections. 9.94 tons of leaf and yard waste and 4.7 tons of bulky items were collected during these events. The participation was less than expected, and trends should be monitored to determine if the number of events is appropriate. New regulations were also passed by the provincial government that will make producers of materials responsible for their collection. This will be accomplished by making the producers responsible for the operation of the Blue Box program. North Grenville is set to transition to this new program on October 1st of 2023. As it sits right now, there appears to be 2 options that are available to North Grenville. The first is to act as a contract administrator on behalf of the producers. This would mean we could have some control over how the program is run in our municipality, but the municipality will not be given first right of refusal and must bid on the contract. It is also anticipated that there will be diversion goals much higher than what we are achieving now, and if we do not meet those goals, it is anticipated that there would be financial penalties associated. The second option would be to have the producers execute the contract in North Grenville. This would not put the municipality in between a producer and the contractor, and we could focus on our current waste diversion programs. It is also important to review the operation processes from time to time, and therefore it is recommended that an operational review of the Oxford Mills transfer station be completed to identify efficiencies and cost savings at that location. It should also be noted that there was a survey conducted by a North Grenville resident that reached 316 people in the community. Overall, people felt that they reduced the amount of garbage that they produced and that the municipality was managing the program well. There were some concerns about biweekly garbage collection in the summer and the complexity of the program, but overall there was a lot of support for the organics program. Municipal staff were not involved in the creation or distribution of this survey, as the resident distributed the survey themselves through Facebook groups. Therefore, it did not influence any recommendations of this report. This report recommends that this report is received for informational purposes until a 1-year review can be brought forth. It also recommends that Council direct staff to complete an operational review of the Oxford Mills transfer station. That concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions.
Okay, Councillor Barkley, do you have anything?
Sure, just a couple of comments. Thank you, Brandon and Director Dunlop, for some very smart thinking in pulling together a green program that was so readily adopted by the community. So kudos to you. I also wanted to thank the Environmental Action Committee for some of their feedback that they gave during the process of devising this green bin program and once it was underway. I understand that it's just an interim report. We're only 6 months in. We don't have all the data, as you mentioned, Brandon, the revenue for April for the Blue Box program. We still don't have that. But I think it really points to the model that you both created in that we have just a difference of $10,000 basically in what you were projecting in the model. And that's to the benefit of taxpayers, because that's approximately $10,000 we don't have to draw from taxation in these 6 months. We'll see what happens in the winter, of course, a different scenario. And also like to thank Councillor Strackeryan, who's actively involved in this file. But as you mentioned, Brandon, kudos to the community for stepping up and doing their part, because it's great to be in year 2 of our projection already, 6 months in. That's all my comments. I don't have any questions. It's all there in the report. Thank you.
Other council colleagues? Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thanks for the report, Brandon. Appreciate it. Just a quick question on the, have you got much feedback on the bulky item dismal response that we've had? Do we have any suggestions or ideas? Is it just marketing, communication with residents, or did you guys have come up with anything, or did you get any feedback from residents?
We really, as a department, have not received a lot of feedback in regards to the program. We're hoping that with the last week of October and November, we're repeating the spring program, that we will have greater participation. We're trying to push it in social media, et cetera. So we're not quite sure what happened in regards to the disappointing numbers or just the lack of participation. So we'll try to engage more.
Thank you. And I was going to ask the same question on that matter, so I guess we'll continue sort of the efforts and try to more widely publicize those, right, periodic programs. I just want to go, Brandon, to your recommendations on how to manage forthcoming changes to Blue Box. I don't quite understand the choice point. I heard what you said. Well, let's not get in the middle as a contract administrator on behalf of producers. That being said, I just wondered if there was a financial advantage to actually being the contracted middle person, if you will, to oversee that service. I understand it says here, as you noted, the municipality will not have the first right of refusal, may not be selected, but are there financial reasons why the municipality may want to go down this path?
The financial information, we're hoping to look at that in the 1-year review, so we can look at the model and see if we no longer participate, how will that affect us financially? If we want to stay in, how potentially that could affect us also. So we're hoping to bring that forth in the next report.
And when you say stay in, what do you mean exactly? You said if we stay in.
So we would continue to offer the service as a municipality. The difference being that instead of us being responsible for the program, the producers would be running the program. We would have to answer to their contracts. We wouldn't be the ones generating the contracts.
Okay. Whereas if we become a contract administrator, then the power resides with the municipality. Is that correct?
No, sorry, that's the power is being taken away from the municipality and giving to the producers to manage the contract. So we can work on behalf of the producers, or we can take a step back and say, producers, you can run the program within the municipality.
Okay. So to act as a contract administrator on behalf of the producers keeps us closer to the management of the program, if you will.
Yes.
Whereas municipalities now have the option to literally walk away.
Yes.
And then recycling programs, would they look very different than what they do now with that individual producer responsibility framework?
The provincial regulations right now are trying to keep the programs as close as possible as what we're currently running. I know one change that we're anticipating for North Granville is the transfer station would no longer be able to accept waste. We'd only get funding for the curbside collection if we were to remain in the program.
Remain in the program being just
Being a contract administrator.
Being a contract administrator. Yes. Okay. So are you making a recommendation at this time?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
Just providing 2 options for council's consideration. I anticipate a recommendation in the 1-year report.
Okay. And I see that the transition timeline is from July 2023 to December 2025. When would we have to make our decision?
We are set to transition on October 1st of 2023. We're one of the first ones
Okay.
up to bat, so to speak.
And why is that? I'm curious.
Selected by the province.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They tried to group people together. We're grouped with Ottawa and some other surrounding municipalities. There's Toronto and some of their surrounding municipalities that are also transitioning in 2023.
So the province has mandated when particular municipalities transition?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then we look forward to sort of more insight from you all on what you think might be the best.
Yes.
Okay. But there are some unknowns, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Fairly
there are still
significant
some
unknowns.
Yes.
Right.
if I may, Madam Mayor, Brandon does regularly attend webinars and information sessions on the transition program. So we can either stay in, and there will be costs and potential the penalties. So we have to weigh the risks. And that's what will be presented in Brandon's recommendations and report once we get that additional information from the province. We can either stay in as a contractor or a contract administrator, or let the producers run the program, which removes those collection costs from our budget and places it to theirs. So that's one of the risks, that we have the costs, but will we have sufficient revenues to cover those costs based on some of the increased diversion rates and contamination rates that we'd have to satisfy.
And does the province appear to be setting up for one choice over the other? Like, do you sort of get the impression that the province is looking for the individual producers to mostly sort of take charge, if you will, or are you seeing that there is an equal choice?
The province is looking for the producers to take responsibility for the program. That is the end goal of the transition. But in terms of whether us as a municipality, whether we're in or out, they haven't had any influence one way or another. They're leaving it completely up to the municipalities themselves.
Okay. I have Councillor Barclay. Councillor Sullivan, I know I can't see anything but your hair, but please wave if you have a question. Okay, I'll go over to Councillor Barclay.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Director Dunlop. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got till June of next year to make a decision which way we go in terms of whether we administer or step away completely?
We have not been given a timeline as of yet. We've been reporting with the province on our numbers to help us transition, but we don't know when the producers will release their contracts for our bid.
Okay. I'm just going back to green bin participation. I know some of the feedback that we've received is the size of the compost bin. So, and just curious to know, as the municipality grows and more of those bins are ordered, has anyone given reconsideration to the size of the bin? I only ask because a couple of residents reached out within the last couple of months with that question. I know sizes differ across municipalities. I know lots of people have 2 compost bins, like I do. So that's one way to solve the problem, but I'm just curious about the sort of sizing of the compost bin itself.
So there's 2 factors in regards to the complaints that were received in regards to the size to the green bin. 1, it doesn't hold enough weight, and 2, it's not tall enough to drag out to the end of the driveway. So the weight, we do have larger bins available that are taller, but the weight really doesn't change. So if people wish to purchase additional bins, either the same size as was delivered or the larger 80-liter bins, they are available at the municipal center. But as I said, the weight really doesn't change. You're going from 40 to 50 pounds. You're not adding a lot of content. And that's what the other concern that has been raised by residents is, why can't we put leaf and yard waste in? It's going to an organics facility. Unfortunately, based on our contract with the City of Ottawa, that is just not permitted based on the compost recipe that the producer has. Okay. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. And when you say weight, you're saying that there's a 40-pound cap, right, on what you can put in the compost bin? Is that what you mean when you invoke the weight?
Yes,
okay.
And that's because we're a manual lift. We're not a larger municipality, so we do not have automated lifts on the back of the trucks.
Okay, and to be clear, just to make sure there's no confusion, we have a waste management contract with Mterra, quite separate from the City of Ottawa, so we do our own waste pickup, but you're saying that the Mterra contract rates can only accommodate a 40-pound compost bin. Is that correct?
For labor concerns, because they are manual lifts, that is the weight limit. Absolutely, we only have a processing contract with the processor who handles the City of Ottawa's waste. Everything else is North Grenville driven.
And just to add, so that we have a contract with the City of Ottawa for its composting facility in terms of where we put all that organic waste that gets picked up by our contracted provider. Okay. Okay, I think I've asked all the questions. You can see I've missed a couple of meetings and I'm back with vigor. Oh, Councillor Sullivan, go ahead.
Thank you to Director Dunlop. Just to clarify, so other than purchasing a second green bin, there's no limit to how many green bins someone could put out at the end of the lane, correct?
I do not, through you, Madam Mayor, I do not believe our bylaw restricts the number of green bins at the end of a driveway, but I can double check that and get back to you,
Okay, thank you.
unless you recall, Brandon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for this update. I know by some of the interest this program has generated that we're, I think, definitely at least infusing some really thoughtful reflection on how we do waste management in North Grenville, and I think largely people have, embraced the evolution of our waste management with a lot of goodwill, and we appreciate that as a council and as a municipality. Thank you, Brandon. If there's nothing else from either of you, then I'll move to have council colleagues receive the report titled Waste Collection Program Update for information purposes until a one-year review can be brought forth to council in April 2022 with an updated financial model, and direct staff to complete an operational view of the Oxford Mills transfer station. Can I have a mover? Councillor Sullivan? Okay. Deputy Mayor? Councillor Barclay, is there anything? Okay. And the operational review of the Oxford Mills transfer station, has that happened before? Have we done one of those before?
We have not.
Okay. And obviously the operational review would be to just assess how it's working in the context of the new program. I'm just curious.
That is correct. Do we continue that business in-house, or do we look at other alternatives?
In terms of the operations of the transfer station?
Correct.
Is that it? Okay. But for any staff who are working there now on a part-time, I think it's part-time, are there any full-time employees there?
They are all casual part-time employees,
Okay.
yes.
We wouldn't want to sow the seeds of insecurity at this time. I mean, obviously that review will take several months to complete.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent, thank you. I'll call the question then, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, Director Dunlop, I think you're on for the Tempo subdivision assumption?
It's actually going to be Brandon again.
Oh,
but
Brandon,
before we
okay.
leave waste, council had asked the question last time I was here in regards to a curbside giveaway. Could we, prior to the next bulky item collection, have a curbside giveaway? So I thought I'd take this opportunity, and next weekend, so the weekend of the 23rd, we have advertised and tried to engage the community to encourage a curbside giveaway, which is placing at the end of your curb any reusable items that may have a benefit to other residents of North Grenville. Mind you, keep in mind, if it isn't collected that weekend, it still remains the property of the homeowner.
Okay, and that's Saturday and Sunday, both days?
That is correct.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I think there was some multiple requests to kind of relaunch that, so it'll be interesting to see how many people take the opportunity. Thanks. All right, so Brendan, over to you for Tempo subdivision.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Tempo subdivision is located across the road from the municipal center near the corner of County Road 43 and 44. The subdivision agreement was approved by council in 2016, and the construction was completed in August of this year. The subdivision agreement requires that the developer install and construct the infrastructure for the subdivision to municipal standards. The agreement also states that all outstanding deficiencies identified by the developer or the municipality must be corrected prior to final acceptance of the subdivision. There are also requirements outlining information that the developer must submit to the municipality to support final acceptance, and there is also a 1-year warranty provided upon the last layer of asphalt being placed. The municipality previously completed winter road maintenance within the subdivision at the developer's expense. The assumption of the roads within the Tempo subdivision would make winter maintenance and asset management the responsibility of the municipality. The final layer of asphalt in Tempo subdivision was placed on October 19th of 2019, and therefore the warranty period was fulfilled on October 19th of 2020. The developer has provided all required documentation and has corrected all deficiencies that were present in the subdivision works. Therefore, it is recommended that council approve and enact a bylaw to assume the infrastructure in the Tempo subdivision into the municipal roadway network and asset management plan. That concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions.
Any questions, colleagues? Councillor Barclay, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, in a subdivision agreement, is that where you'd find a clause that would allow cash in lieu of payment for parkland? Is that normally where you'd find something like that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. When these agreements come where we take ownership, do you have a heads up on that, or is this kind of comes to fruition at a certain date? What I'm asking is it an item that you are able to budget fairly clearly, or you just have to absorb it when it comes along? Is kind of one of my questions. Now, the other question I would have was the transition for this particular subdivision longer than others that we've done maybe in the municipality? I was just curious about that. It seems like you said the agreement started in 2016, construction ended in 2018 or 18. And this, the warranty is up now, but who normally monitors it, and how do you guys go about monitoring that to make sure that the road work and other things are up to speed?
So the first question in regards to the assets and do we adjust the budgets basically in regards to accepting those into the municipal maintenance network. Under the asset management plan, once these are assumed, it will be uploaded into our asset management plan, and then it's coordinated in future years. Typically with a newer asset, we shouldn't have expenditures. Just like when you buy a new car, you hope you don't have to do any repairs for a little while. So they will be uploaded, and yes, it will be accommodated in future years. The transition for this specific subdivision, it is a subdivision of 157 homes, as Brandon has said, started in 2016, final lift in 2019, is actually a rapid flow through a subdivision. In North Grenville, historically, a subdivision can take 5, 10, 15 years to get to that point of the final lift because of the restrictions within the subdivision agreement. 75% of a phase of a development must be built before the final lift, and then we wait 1 year, and then we have to get all the documentation. So what normally we try to work with the developer in more recent years to make sure that as we roll through, we get those engineering certification, so we're not asking them to hunt for 10 years worth of documentation at the end of the process. So it is actually a quick transition. And I don't remember if I have answered all your questions, sorry.
The last one was the warranty, and how do you guys monitor that year? Who takes on that task?
The engineering certification, the developer's engineer, as well as municipal staff will do walkthroughs, Brandon in this case, multiple times. We've actually made them repair and remove certain sections of curbing, as well as there's some signage issues, many things that Brandon has walked through on multiple occasions, as well as the engineering certification, developer's engineer, who is a PEng.
Okay, and then on the budget item, I didn't mean the capital expense. I was really talking about the annual expense. Right now, the developer was paying you to salt and clear the roads, so there was a certain dollar there. So staffing's not going to change. We still need the same staff to go in there and do the cleaning. Yet we're not going to get paid. That's the piece. Do we anticipate that in our budget, or does it kind of a surprise because all of a sudden they sign off?
The reduction in the revenue is not substantial for a single development of this size. Again, as you say, we have the staff, but we do have to look at growth numbers. We have been growing rapidly and have accommodated additional staff support in the budgets over the last few years. We get to a certain benchmark, and then we've added equipment through development charges. A couple years ago, part of the DC backgrounder, we added a tandem plow and sander unit because our roadway network has been growing due to growth. So those components are done incrementally. It's not necessarily because this development came on, we added a specific. And no, I have not monitored the loss in the revenue because of this one goes off, that one goes on. Typically is the way it's been in the last decade.
Councillor O'Sullivan?
Thank you. I just wondered, we're talking about resources and human resources, et cetera, for managing the growth that we had. As you mentioned, we're growing very rapidly. So this is 157 new homes in Tempo, and there's more coming in the Creek, and there's more coming in Equinel, like a lot more. I'm just wondering about managing snow removal, et cetera. I think North Grenville has done a fantastic job, and kudos to Public Works. I hear all kinds of compliments on how the snow is removed in North Grenville as compared to some streets in the city of Ottawa. So I'm just wondering, do you anticipate that you may have to go to 2 shifts? I mean, as we get bigger and bigger, can you continue to rely on just 1 shift for snow removal?
As it stands right now, through you, Madam Mayor, as it stands right now, we are keeping to 1 shift. We have added resources over the last a few years from additional manpower. But what we are actually considering is the 2nd shift, which would not be a road maintenance product, but a patrol. The regulations under the minimum maintenance standards and the responsibilities for reporting have changed over the years. So those are the things that we track, computerized track now, versus paperwork in the past. So those are the things that we're trying to grow up and mature as we grow and as the expectations change. Yes, the road crew take a they're very proud in regards to the services that they provide and meet the minimum maintenance standards. So short term, no. Long term, as we grow.
Well, thank you. They should be proud because they do a good job here, for sure.
Okay. I have a quick question. You will know that residents in Tempo, many of them have expressed the imperative for a neighborhood park. And I know there has been some movement on that and some dialogue, and Deputy Mayor and I have definitely been part of that. I know that's certainly not part of the assumption of the subdivision. Is there anything you could provide at this time?
There have been ongoing discussions in regards to adjacent developments, et cetera, but nothing is set on the table that I can bring forward in a public forum as of yet.
Okay. Perhaps I can flag it as something that hopefully we can work towards a resolution on. I know various proposals are at play, and I certainly think that Tempo residents would be extremely pleased to learn that there has been considerable conversation effort, and I think our hope is a positive outcome in the coming months. So maybe we can circle back on that. Okay, thanks. Councillor Barclay?
While we're on the topic of assuming infrastructure, have we assumed everything in the Country Walk subdivision as of today?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's actually Brandon's file as well, and if he wants to give you an update, please go ahead, Brandon.
Country Walk subdivision, I believe it was last fall. They laid their final lift asphalt, so they're on their 1-year warranty period right now. It should be expiring shortly. But we're still working with them to rectify the remaining deficiencies in the subdivision and get all the documentation together for final acceptance.
So in terms of the roads, it'll be sometime this fall. I'm not, there are other deficiencies which remain nameless, I guess, but as far as the road goes, we'll be assuming the plowing this winter?
Through you, Madam Chair, typically we would bring you the subdivision in its entirety, so all drainage easements and other deficiencies need to be rectified prior to our recommending assumption. We want to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. So I would not anticipate it would be this fall.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other questions, Councillor Sullivan, would you like to move that Council approve and enact Bylaw 10421 to assume the infrastructure in the Tempo subdivision into the municipal roadway network and asset management plan? Okay, seconder over here, please. Councillor Barclay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? So, Director Dunlop, we do hope for a report on the outstanding park issues the coming months. But in the meantime, I'll ask colleagues to call the question. All in favor? Good. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. And I think we have Joe here this evening, Parks, Rec and Culture. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is to obtain authorization, Council to award PRC 2117 to Bradley Contracting for the foundation repair at the North Grenville Municipal Center. The North Grenville Municipal Center Marquee Foundation was identified in the North Grenville Asset Management Plan as needing repair in 2021. The 2021 capital budget included a foundation repair for the marquee. A structural engineer was procured to create a plan of attack for the repair. The engineering firm indicated that the current foundation is past the repair phase and a full replacement of the foundation will be needed. During the design phase for the new foundation, the engineer indicated that the marquee area needed to be cordoned off from public access, or the marquee itself had to be taken down. We did cordon off the area to maintain the level of service of the marquee during the design phase. The tender was issued for the tender was issued after the design phase. 3 proponents attended the mandatory site meeting. There was only one bid due to the scope of the project. One firm indicated a different methodology that would have yielded the same cost or more. Moving forward, the replacement is essential to keep the marquee LCD screen operational for the winter months. If we don't move forward with the replacement of the foundation, the marquee will need to be removed from the foundation and stored on site until the foundation has been replaced. From an urgency perspective, the foundation repair needs to happen before the cold weather's upon us. It's going to start raining more. The size of the excavation for the scope of this project is fairly large in nature. The foundation has to go about 10 feet deep, so if you think about going down 10 feet, you have to excavate fairly wide for that, and it's a pretty big hole in the ground. The price provided from Bradley Contracting was fair for the scope of the project. $15,000 was approved in the Parks and Recreation capital budget, a variance of $32,398 plus HST can be funded from the North Grenville Municipal Center Reserve account. In conclusion, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department recommends that the request for proposal or request for tender PRC 2117 for the NGMC Marquee Foundation repair at a total cost of $47,398, excluding HST, be awarded to Bradley Contracting. If there's any questions on the matter, I'd be happy to answer them.
What's the typical lifespan of one of these large signs? We're talking about the large sign outside of the municipality, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The large green sign out
And it's
front.
not, the sign is working, but the foundation is
The
broken.
foundation itself, I'm a very visual person, so I'll try to describe it. There's 2 piers that the marquee is mounted to. Those piers have 4 anchors on them. Around the anchors, there's some structural cracking. The nature or initial methodology was to repair the cracking, but since then freeze-thaw cycles has expanded the cracking, and the engineer has noted that the anchors from a structural perspective have just been exposed too much. So yes, the asset from overall useful life has been cut short. Moving forward with our asset management plan, we'll be able to identify deficiencies as such and rectify them sooner.
So is there a way to protect this newly built foundation
The-
from that freeze-thaw cycle? Because that obviously contributed to a shorter lifespan, or was it just a lack of maintenance?
It wouldn't have been lack of maintenance, but concrete technology has advanced in the last couple of years, and the specified concrete in the new foundation is engineered to withstand freeze-thaw cycles. it's a superior product.
Ah, okay. So this investment should take us further, eh? Than this investment of this foundation should stand the test of time, if you will.
Absolutely, it'll see the marquee's useful life.
Perfect. Okay. And is there a problem with the LCD screen itself?
Absolutely not.
No.
The LCD screen itself is in good shape. It isn't as old as the marquee frame itself. It was 2016 purchase, I believe.
I see. So the Marquee Foundation came with the building, I assume.
That's
right?
correct. That's why we're going through the reserve fund for this facility.
Okay, indeed. Okay, thank you. Colleagues, anything else on this one? No? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Sullivan. I can barely see you, so I apologize.
know, it's kind of...
Our screens are getting in the way. Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you just confirm, did you say it could be done this fall if the weather holds out for us? Can it be completed?
Absolutely. Through you, Madam Mayor. The contractor is very keen to get it done this fall just due to the urgency on the matter. The only thing that just the site rehabilitation the time of the project, it just might be too far along to get the sod back, but in the spring that'll be fully rectified.
So
that's the plan.
if this, assuming this is passed tonight, he can start like as soon as possible, like tomorrow or whatever?
Well, not tomorrow, but as soon as they can mobilize, they'll be here. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And what was your first clue that the foundation was
So
beyond repair?
Well, before my current position, or before I got in my current position, I was in an asset management role, and we first identified it then, and we've been working through the phases to rectify this asset.
Okay, well, we certainly don't want it falling over.
Absolutely.
Especially with all the kids coming in and out of the arena for hockey. Okay, and parents. All right. So, Council, the motions before you, I'm not going to read all three sections. I think it's fairly self-evident. Councillor Sullivan, do you want to move that one?
Sure.
Okay. Seconder, please, Deputy Mayor. And I'll call the question unless there's further comment, question. Seeing none. All in favor? Good. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you
I hope
very
it gets done
much.
this fall.
Have a great evening.
Okay. Okay, so I think that brings us close to the end of the agenda. There's nothing for emergency and protective services this evening, though we do want to thank, of course, as we always do, our volunteer fire service. It was Fire Safety Week, I think, last week, so lots of efforts were put into making sure that good awareness was raised over the last couple of months and into the future on the importance of fire safety and functional fire alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. Apart from that, I don't see any other business. I will just scan the room here for any notice of motions from council colleagues. Any notice of motions? See none. Great. We have, I believe, clerk dealt with the introduction and consideration of bylaws. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay, so then we'll just go quickly to the period of questions from members of the community, media. Have you received anything?
I have not, Your Worship.
Okay, and of course there is no one in the room this evening, so we'll assume all is well on that front. Of course, any member of media can reach out to any member of council or staff at any time. And then we will then go on to the close of meeting, and a confirmation bylaw is before us, and that is that bylaw 10621 to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on October 19th be adopted and passed. I will look for a mover and a seconder.
Yeah, I know. I just have a question. I
Okay.
don't know whether it's worthwhile or we can do it at the next meeting. And I just need clarification from the clerk. Did we approve the minutes of the previous meeting? Item G?
Yes, we did. Councillor Barkley, through you, Your Worship. That was approved under the consent agenda.
Okay, so we'll go back to confirmation bylaw. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Barkley, Deputy Mayor. I'll call the question. All in favor? Good. And motion to adjourn. We are moving to adjourn at 7:23 p.m. Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Barkley, motion to adjourn. All in favor then? Raise your hands. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.